Hi everyone, my name's Kristen. Welcome back to my channel. On Friday afternoon, it was announced on Sarah J. Maas's Instagram account that her very popular ACOTAR series is currently being adapted for television by Hulu. I knew right away that I had to create a reaction video. This is not the video I planned on releasing today, but it is the video you are getting. So I thought I would talk about sort of my initial thoughts, what we know so far about this adaptation, and some potential question marks for the series at large. From the Instagram post, it sounds like this was sort of an accidental or a pushed up announcement date. She referenced her husband in the Instagram post for kind of spilling the beans early or spilling the beans. So it is possibly being announced earlier than was originally intended. Although I did not track down Sarah J. Maas's husband's Instagram and or Twitter accounts to find out what was said when. So what do we know so far about this adaptation? In her Instagram post, Sarah mentioned that she is currently in the process of co-writing the pilot with Ron Moore, the showrunner who brought us the other popular book to TV adaptation series Outlander and Battlestar Galactica. The show is being produced by 20th Television and is set to air with Hulu. Now you might be wondering to yourself, as I was, wait a second, I thought it was Throne of Glass that was being adapted. And this is in fact also true, or at least it used to be. Back in 2016, it was announced that Throne of Glass had been picked up also by Hulu and was possibly going to be adapted for television under the title of Queen of Shadows, the title of the fourth book, but it was still going to cover content from the first book onwards. I personally think that there is more plot content to cover from Throne of Glass, that it would maybe make a better TV show than the ACOTAR world, but there has been no updated information about the Throne of Glass project since 2016, and since ACOTAR is also being set to air at Hulu, it kind of makes you wonder if they simply pivoted to her other series based on the current popularity of one series over the other. Now, what makes me think that this project is more likely to happen than the Throne of Glass one? Well, I read that the script deal with Ron Moore has a significant penalty if the show is not greenlit to series. So this makes me think that they really, really want this to happen, and makes me a little bit more hopeful than I otherwise would be if this was just, oh, this has been optioned or Hulu has obtained the rights for. And finally, the last thing that we know officially about this series is that it's being produced by 20th Television. Other shows produced by 20th Television includes paranormal powerhouse Buffy the Vampire Slayer and sci-fi cult classic Firefly. Initial thoughts on this. As I said before, I do think that Throne of Glass series has a little bit more plot content to work with, but in the grand scheme of things, I think that there is messaging in the ACOTAR series that is a little bit more on trend with today's current atmosphere and social climate than perhaps in the Throne of Glass series. The Throne of Glass series is also completed, where ACOTAR still has future books in the works. This includes the Court of Silver Flames that was just released, and there are officially 2 more novels in this series that Sarah J. Maas has been contracted to write. I am interested to see to what extent these as yet unpublished, but obviously SJM knows what's going to happen, books or works, how those will impact the plot and what content is maybe focused or prioritized in the book 1 content of the show when it comes out. Will things that SJM knows are going to happen in the future, or even just with the A Court of Silver Flames that has already released, will certain characters be introduced earlier into the series than they are in the books? Will the priority be slightly different? Will the focus be different? I'm really, really curious to what extent that material is going to impact the writing and development of the show from the beginning moving onwards. One of the other things that initially came to mind when I read this announcement was that I was very excited to see this mental health representation on the TV screen as well. Sarah J. Maas does a really good job of writing certain storylines, particularly in book 2, A Court of Mist and Fury, and I believe, though I haven't read it yet, in book 4, A Court of Silver Flames. And I am really excited to see that depicted and to see it done really well, or to hope that it is done really well. Other scenes and moments or like things throughout the series that I am really looking forward to seeing depicted on the television screen include, like the amazing chemistry between certain characters. And I don't just mean relationship chemistry. I think Sarah J. Maas is an incredible writer of relationships, period, whether that is a romantic relationship, friendship, or sibling. And I really, really hope that the chemistry between the actors, the interpretation by the actors, and the writing of the script reflects the amazing relationship dynamics that Sarah J. Maas does create in her books. Particular moments from the series, I'm actually really excited to see the Middengard Wyrm. Like, that's one of, I know it's not a favorite for a lot of people, but it's actually one of my favorite scenes in the book series because it is Feyre being like so badass even before things that happen later in the series. It's just like Feyre survival mode extraordinaire. And I'm really interested to see how the Middengard Wyrm is like depicted and whether or not that's done well. I'm interested to see the masks, the drugged up, somewhat hazy dance scenes under the mountain with some very iconic dresses. How costume and wardrobe is going to interpret those descriptions. And of course, Lucian's eye. How will that be done? Broader context scenes, of course, I would be excited to see chapter 55 from A Court of Mist and Fury. If you're a fan, I don't need to say more details than that. But I personally am more of a fan of chapter 54, the confession that happens right before. I've actually talked about this confession as one of my favorite all-time confession scenes in a video that I did about confession scenes in books. And so I wonder if we won't get as much detail in that scene, but either way, I'm excited to see that happen. So, what are some big question marks though that I have about this series being adapted? I am actually really curious how they will depict and portray Tamlin as a character in the content from the first book, and whether or not how the series progresses plays into, or if how the series progresses plays into how they subtly portray him in the first book, and if we will see more subtle hints or more obvious hints to what happens later on. Second big question, and I feel like this is a hotly debated topic within the ACOTAR fandom already, and that is, will the Illyrians be cast as people of color? I am really interested to see which route they go on that, and I think it is likely, and I am on board with that. And then kind of reflecting sort of my earlier question about to what extent the later books will be influencing the earlier book material content in the show form, and that is, will the Archeron, how do you say it? I say Archeron in my head. How do the Archeron sisters, Elaine and Nesta, factor into the first book? Will they be portrayed a little bit differently? Will they have a slightly larger role to make them more important, significant characters to potentially reflect where the series is going? I was thinking about doing a potential fan cast of characters, but honestly, that is not a strength of mine, and I really look forward to seeing your ideas. In my head, I actually have a really good sense of what everyone looks like except for Feyre. She was always someone that I was not able to pin down definitively based on, I think, the minimal descriptions that we have of her as, of her appearance throughout the book. But I was looking up other people's fan cast dreams last night, and the actress Alicia Debnam Carey came up pretty consistently, or quite frequently, as a potential fan cast for Feyre. And I think that if I ever reread these books, well, actually, I'm going to reread these books, and when I read A Court of Silver Flames, I think I actually probably will picture this actress, because I feel like as soon as I saw that, I was kind of on board with it. Alicia Debnam Carey is an Australian actress, and some of her TV credits include The 100 and Walking Dead. The Walking Dead? I don't know, I didn't watch that show. Anyway, that is it for my reaction video. I am tentatively excited about this show. I hope that we do not have to wait too long to know for sure. Let me know what you are thinking. Are you excited about this potential TV series? Do you think it is necessary? Do you think it is the right SJM series to adapt? Or is there another fantasy romance series that you would prefer to see adapted for the screen? That is it for me today, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.